The Dodgers have named their first two starting pitchers for the World Series. Is this a true World Series? USA against Canada at least. Japan's involved in a lot of ways. So much to talk about. Your voicemails, your live reactions. Let's dig into it on this episode of All Dodgers. Coming at you live from my mom's basement in Pleasant Grove, Utah. This is the All Dodgers podcast, part of the Bleav Network of podcasts, brought to you by FanDuel. I am Jeff Snyder. It is just me tonight. Clint and Kevin are both busy, and so you just get me, and we are talking Dodgers World Series. We're only 2 days away. In fact, less than 2 days away. At this point, we are, 1 day, 20 and a half hours. Yeah. It's coming right up. We are getting close. And we Dodger fans, we're used to the Dodgers being in the World Series. I was looking at it today and realized in the last 13 years, 9 different teams have represented the National League in the World Series. That's the Dodgers 5 times and 8 other teams 1 time each. You got to go back to 2012. So you have the 2012 and 2014 Giants before you have another team that was in it multiple times in the World Series. The Dodgers are, everything that people accuse the Dodgers of, this dynasty, is true, other than the fact that the Dodgers are ruining baseball. The fact is, Dodgers are trying to win. Dodgers are spending the money that we, the fans, are giving them watching the product, and they're spending it on making the product better. And I love it. I don't know that I would ever get tired of winning the World Series. Absolutely hope they win it this year to get the back-to-back. Beyond that, 3 in a row would be awesome. I think it would have to be, I've said this before, I think the record is 5 in a row, the Yankees in the late 40s, early 50s. And so I'm going to need at least 60 before I'm too even considering being, okay, let's let somebody else win it. Fact is, somebody else is going to win it. The Dodgers aren't going to win it every year. I think they're going to be competitive for a long time because they seem to be very good at building a team in all the different ways, like we talked about. But probably some of the team will win, maybe even this year. I hope not. We're going to dig into that. In fact, so here's the plan for tonight. I want to let you guys know. I've, like I said, it's just me. I'm going to do my best to keep my eye on. Sorry, just trying to get my phone out of my pocket. Going to do my best to try to keep my eye on the live chat. I just noticed, I think there's a smudge on my camera right there. Anyway, keep my eye on the live chat. I've got a couple of voicemails we're going to play. We're going to talk about the little bit of news that we've gotten. And then beyond that, we are just going to kind of look at your talk in the chat, the voicemails, everything you guys want to talk about. You guys are going to run this show. It'll go as long or as short as you guys want it to. So let's jump right into the actual news we have, which is that Blake Snell is starting Game 1 of the World Series. Yoshinori Yamamoto starting Game 2. This is news. Technically, none of it is even a minor surprise. We said the other day, this makes sense. This rotation worked perfectly in the NLCS, and no reason to change it. We've talked about Yamamoto and Ohtani and their off-day needs, and so it makes sense for them to go in Games 2 and 4. I saw somebody saying they should switch it up and put Ohtani in Game 3. I don't see it happening, because then if you did go to a Game 7, then you're on with Ohtani on normal person regular rest, which is short rest for Ohtani, and so I just don't see that happening. Instead, you go Glasnow in Game 7 and Ohtani available in relief, everybody available in relief in a Game 7 of the World Series. Like last year wasn't a Game 7, but closing out the World Series, you're definitely going to have everybody available. Hopefully this one's not going to get that deep. Hopefully we're not going to have a 7-game series here. And they are, I'm already seeing some chats. Carol S. says, I don't want to freak out, but there are lots of people saying the Jays can actually beat the Dodgers if the 1 week rest affected them. I don't believe it, but it's making me nervous. Had some other thoughts along those same lines. Don't care 187 Hey, Jeff, I just hope the layoff wasn't too long and they go cold. JY Kim says the Dodgers players will be dealing with jet lag, so it might even things out. Yeah, the fact is, like Clint and I talked a little bit about the other night, we are, I think the Dodgers have figured out, to the extent that anybody can figure out whether, how to deal with this day off or week off. The Dodgers last year had 2 long layovers between the regular season and the division series, and then also between the NLCS and the World Series. And they did just fine. And so they did things differently last year. I think the 2 years where they had the week off and then struggled in the division series is going to be a benefit to them. It's something in the big picture. They might look back and say, well, it was worth losing in the first round those 2 years if it taught us what we needed to win, insert number here, World Series titles over the next decade. And so that's something that, obviously, there's all sorts of different ways that you can deal with a layoff, but I think the Dodgers are well equipped to do that, and I'm excited for it. I'm excited to find out after the fact what they did and how they handled it. I don't think they'll necessarily do everything exactly the same as they did last year, just because it's a different group of guys. A lot of people are the same, but definitely not all the same. I'm trying to keep my eye on the chat, and I'm starring comments to dig into it a little bit, just so you know if I seem distracted. It's only because I am. I like anyway. So what I'm saying is Dodgers are ready for this. Blake Snell is absolutely ready for this. There was a really interesting article in the New York Times today about Blake Snell, something that we didn't find out. I hadn't heard this until today when I read did I say New York Times? LA Times, whichever city the Dodgers are in, that Times. I hadn't heard about it until I read the article. According to the article, nobody really knew about it until last week. Blake Snell, when he was on paternity leave earlier this season, he also ended up in the hospital himself with an illness that he was still overcoming. And you remember his couple starts after that were his 2 worst starts of the year. That explains why. He's been lights out ever since then. And so, again, it makes me feel a little bit better that when he was bad, there was a reason for it. And Blake Snell has been awesome this postseason. The Blue Jays may be the best offense he will face. The Phillies have a lot of really good hitters. And so I don't know which offense is better, the Phillies or the Blue Jays. I mean, we could look at stats who did better, but like as far as the actual quality, the actual hitters, it's pretty close. And Blake Snell did pretty well against the Phillies. And so I'm excited to see Blake Snell on Friday, Yamamoto on Saturday, day off Sunday, and then we go to Glasnow and Ohtani, and maybe Blake Snell one last time if my prediction of Dodgers in 5 is going to come true, like my other 2 have. Yeah, and so the Dodgers are going to win this series, I hope. I do want to address a little bit. There were some people, Blue Jays fans, who were upset by our previous episode, and I just want to remind everybody this is a Dodgers podcast. We are Dodger fans here. We are not journalists so much as Dodger fans who know our stuff, talking about the Dodgers and Dodgers focus. And, chances are we're going to be pro Dodgers. When we were chanting USA, USA, which you may hear again in a voicemail in a minute, that was, joking around, kind of, I got nothing against Canada. In fact, I'm a big fan of Canada. Dairyland chocolate milk, one of my favorite things in the world. Dairyland chocolate milk is a big part of the reason why I look the way I do. I've had too much Dairyland chocolate milk. Very, very good stuff. I know all the words to O Canada, or at least all the words before they changed the words a few years ago. They changed a line or two that I'm still getting used to. I actually have a Canadian flag here somewhere, autographed by former BYU basketball player Jimmy Balderson, who was Canadian. And when I was in college, I had him autograph my Canadian flag. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Canada. And you know what? In fact, I'm even a big fan of the Blue Jays because they beat the Braves in the World Series in 1992. And the Braves at that point had just got good again, and suddenly their fans. I've talked about my feelings about Braves fans on this show before. I've got issues with that. So the Braves beating the Blue Jays beating the Braves in 1992 was a good thing. I liked it, and so I am absolutely rooting against the Blue Jays in this series. I believe the Dodgers are the better team, despite the Blue Jays having a slightly better record in the regular season. I think the Dodgers are the better team. I think they're going to win, but it's not because I am an arrogant, ignorant American. It's because I'm a Dodger fan. You know, hat, shirt, hoodie. It's all Dodgers around here. Name of the show and everything. So that is why we were pro Dodgers on this previous episode, not because we are arrogant Americans. To the extent that we're arrogant, it's not because we're Americans. It's because we're so darn good looking. We got a couple voicemails. I put out a call, got a couple from the regulars, and one from a semi-regular. I don't want to accuse Seth of being regular. He's never been accused of such a thing before. But first, we are going to jump into this voicemail from Richie, our friend Richard Flores. Here's Richie.
Well, here we go. Less than 48 hours away, the first pitch. It's double doubles and Tommy's double cheeseburgers versus round bacon. It's Jack Daniels versus Canadian whiskey. It's the good old USA against Canadian maple syrup. Yes, it is a true World Series, boys and girls. So for all you Dodger haters out there, time for you to get rid of that beat LA chant and turn it in for USA, USA, USA. So break up those American flags and come on board because we're truly America's team. To the Dodger hitters, look for a pitch you can drive, punish them, crush mistakes. Look for anything that you can drive into the gap and turn and burn. Try to stretch singles into doubles. Try to stretch a double into a triple. And if you do jack one out into Lake Erie, be my guest, bat flip, and take your time running around the bases. In short, I just want everybody just to forget about the anxiety, forget about trying to go back to back, and just focus one pitch at a time, one inning at a time, and we're going to be just okay. Again, there's nothing to fear but fear itself, and we're going to get it done. And finally, to our buddy, Mr. Springer, look, that sailed a long time ago, and maybe the hatred is still there, but I'll never forget. But I do want him to feel the pain. I want him to feel how much we hate his guts and boo his ass every time he comes to the plate or he touches the ball. In short, throw strikes, play catch, put the ball in play, and run the bases intelligently, and we're just going to be just fine. So pop that popcorn, break out those American flags, and let's get it done. See ya.
All right, there's Richie for you. And, yeah, you know what? I have it down the bottom. USA versus Canada. It's really not. The fact is, most of America, the United States of America, wants the Blue Jays to win. The Dodgers are the hated team right now, and that's just fine. That is a role that I am perfectly fine with. I wouldn't say I embrace it or want it, but I don't care. I don't care what other people think, and people try to, people project. We'll see when the Dodgers are paying Ohtani after he's done playing, and so they can't afford to put together a roster and they're bad. See how you support the team then. And the fact is, we have so much history on our side of Dodger fans supporting. I was just reading Alex's comment, got to forgive. Dodger fans supporting the Dodgers even when they are bad. So even if we buy the totally incorrect narrative that Shohei Ohtani's contract is going to be a financial burden on the Dodgers, which it's not. It's not. And anybody who's put, 2 seconds and 2 brain cells of thought into it knows it's not going to be a financial burden on the Dodgers. But even if it was, Dodger fans are still going to show up. Dodger fans show up, win or lose. Yeah, a little bit more when they win. It's more fun when they're winning. But you know what? Most of us were born into this. The Snyders became a Dodger family 20 years before I was born, when the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles. And my dad's family, my dad was from LA, actually beautiful La Puente. And when LA got a team, the Snyders became a Dodgers family. And so 20 years later, I was born into it. I didn't have a choice. And that's good. You know what? That's how I became a Dodger fan. Everybody has their origin story. Yeah, there's some front runner fans. I don't mind bandwagon fans. I think fan bases grow because of bandwagons. And the hope is that or that fans will stick around and become long-term fans. And these Dodgers, the fact that they are good every year definitely makes it easier for those fans to stick around. Because I mean, if I know we have people in our Discord server who became fans in 2017. Great. I don't know if it was because the Dodgers went to the World Series that year or if that just happened to be the year, but great. And the fact is the Dodgers have been good every year since then. And so it's easy to stick around. And by the time they're ever bad again, if they ever are, these people will be lifelong fans by that point. That's just the way it works. So every fan base grows in different ways, but we Dodger fans have history on our side. We have proof that we support our team, win or lose. And the fact that fans of other teams who don't have that same support think that we're like them, that's fine. They can be wrong. It's okay. And that's how I feel about all this. Like, I don't care that most of the United States is rooting against us. Obviously, the vast majority of Canada is rooting against the Dodgers. Maybe everybody except for our friend Gail Johnson is rooting against the Dodgers in Canada. That's fine. You know what? The Blue Jays are their team. And in the United States, I don't care. I'm rooting for the Dodgers. Dodgers are going to win. I'm going to be happy. That's all that matters to me. Let's listen to this voicemail from our buddy Seth Klein.
Hey, Dodgers fan. It's Seth Klein, longtime caller, first-time listener. Just calling to say that the only thing we've got to fear is whether or not our pitching shows up. If they do, and they have done so all postseason, we're going to rock this World Series. My bet is Dodgers in 5. We love that gentleman sweep in L.A. It's the polite thing to do. I'm not scared. Are you? I'll take my answer off the air. Thank you.
Yeah, you will. Thank you, Seth. Seth Klein is one of my favorites. That dude is awesome. Thanks for being what'd you say, first-time listener, long-time caller. Love that. And yeah, I think a gentleman's sweep sounds great. Less stress, the better. I've only had to use my clutch and pillow one time this postseason. And it's a good feeling. I hope I don't have to use it again. I probably will. I'm trying to decide. I'm actually heading back down to St. George, Utah, where I was for the first 2 games of last year's World Series. Heading back down there on Friday. That's where I'll be watching the first 2 games of this year's World Series. Trying to decide if I'm taking my clutch and pillow with me or if I'm just going to use a hotel pillow as my clutch and pillow. But either way, I'm hoping I don't need it. The Dodgers have made it very stress-free so far this postseason. I hope they can continue to do that. To be fair, I would have used my clutch and pillow twice, except when Blake Trinan was trying to blow that game against the Phillies, game 2, I was in my car, and so I didn't. I would have been clutching a pillow if I had it. So technically, I've needed a clutch and pillow twice. I've just only had it once. One last voicemail, real quick from Noah. Actually, before we get to Noah's, I'm going to have my friend Clint, who is not here with me, I'm going to have him show up on the screen magically and tell y'all about Delete Me.
Guys, Delete Me makes it easy, quick, and safe to remove your personal data online at a time where surveillance and data breaches are common enough to make everybody vulnerable. You get those emails every couple of days, every couple of weeks, like, oh, our security has been breached. We apologize for this. Delete Me helps keep your information out of bad people's hands. They can help out with that. Data brokers, of course, they make a profit off of your data. Your data is a commodity to them, and anybody on the web can buy your private details. That could lead to identity theft, phishing attempts, harassment. Now you can protect your privacy with Delete Me. And if you have been the victim of identity theft, or if you know somebody who has, it really is the worst to try to get your life back in order. So Delete Me can help you take control of your data and keep your private life private. all you got to do is sign up for Delete Me, and you get a special discount here. All Dodgers listeners and watchers get that discount, 20% off your Delete Me plan when you go to joindeleteme.com/hit. You see it on the screen. That is HIT. You use that promo code HIT at checkout. The only way you can get 20% off. I'm doing that cadence thing again, but I'm not going to get too crazy with the hands, I promise. That's what she said. The only way you can do that is go to joindeleteme.com/hit. Use promo code HIT at checkout. Final time. I'm doing a hand thing. That's joindeleteme.com/hit. Use promo code HIT. Thank you for listening.
Man, I grab a Clint Delete Me ad read. I had to grab the one where he makes the terrible "that's what she said" joke. But that's all right. Noah says maybe Clint isn't here because Jeff deleted him. I did not. I'll tell you why Clint's not here. Clint is not here because he's a good friend. Clint is very good with cars, and a friend of his needed help on a car this evening. So Clint is helping his friend work on a car this evening. And you know what? If that's not a good friend, I don't know what is. Michael Scott Silva asked where in St. George I will be at. I will actually be in Washington, Utah, which I'll be at the cemetery fields right over there by the cemetery in Washington. I think 1 p.m. and 5 p.m. on Friday is my son's games, and then 8 a.m. on Saturday, and then 10:30 at Desert Hills High School. So you know what? I'm easy to spot. I'm huge, and I wear Dodger clothes, so come say hi if you want to. I don't mind doxing myself. And let's get into Noah's voicemail now, and then we will dig into the chat.
Well, what up, guys? It's Noah, as you know, and I gotta say, guys, I'm really excited for this series. I'm really confident. I'm really confident because we can all agree that our lineup and our starting rotation is better than theirs. The bullpen, the other side, it's up for debate. However, we got Roki, and they're not full of lefties like the previous teams. So don't be surprised if our lefties, like Freddie and Ohtani, heat up. And I'm also excited because this series is connected to a lot of storylines. For example, Roki, Yama, and Ohtani, plus everybody else, essentially means it's Japan and the USA versus Canada. Because let's be honest, guys, we have Ohtani, so we literally have all of Japan on our side, and two countries are better than one. And then there's other storylines that are a little small, such as how Teoscar was in Toronto, but then they traded him to the Mariners. So there might be a little bit of beef between the front office and Teoscar. However, Vladimir and Teoscar are very good friends because Vladimir was there when Teoscar won the home run derby. You can see them together, so that'll be fun. And we're going to be able to see George Springer at Dodger Stadium again, so we got to boo him if you're there. Unfortunately, I will not because I don't have $800 I'm going to pay just to get in. But we got to boo for him, and let's get our revenge, guys. And sooner or later, we'll be able to say that D word, the D. And it's Clint's and Jeff's favorite D, and that is Dynasty. Anyways, have a good night, guys.
All right. You never know where Noah's going at the end of those voicemails. But, yeah, let's talk about the George Springer topic real quick. We talked about it a little bit the other day. I'm going to tell you, I feel bad about the George Springer thing. I have not forgotten what the Astros did. I will not forget what the Astros did. I won't forget how Rob Manfred totally mishandled what the Astros did. Since I wasn't in the clubhouse, I don't know who deserves the most blame. We know it was Carlos Beltran who came up with the idea and kind of implemented it. We know that AJ Hinch knew about it and didn't do anything about it, along with Alex Cora. Alex Cora, according to Joe Kelly, Alex Cora got thrown under the bus. The fact is the coaches are ultimately responsible, the manager and the coaches. And so I don't think there could have been a punishment harsh enough for the management that let the scandal happen. I think Carlos Beltran should have known better. And I think it's a good thing that this is going to keep him out of the Hall of Fame, at least for a while. I think he'll probably end up in the Hall of Fame, but people are remembering that. I mean, it was a big deal. But I've said before, like Alex Bregman, I don't like Alex Bregman, but he's the kind of guy who you hate when he's not on your team, but you love him when he's on your team. And that's mostly how I still feel about him. Alex Bregman was a rookie in 2017. Alex Bregman wasn't in a position to stop the things from happening. You can't expect a rookie to step up to Carlos Beltran and say, hey, I don't think we should be doing this. It was rough timing for Bregman that by the time news came out, by the time we found out about what they had done, Bregman was the team leader. And so he had to give that wooden, forced, fake apology in spring training in 2020. But ultimately, I don't really blame Alex Bregman for it. And so I will continue to dislike Bregman because of his face and because he lies about how tall he is, not because of the cheating so much. Jose Altuve probably didn't actually use the cheating much, definitely was enough of a team leader that I think he should have stepped up a little bit. So he doesn't get as much of a pass for me. Carlos Correa has been straight up defiant and angry in defending what they did, which is it's weak. And so Carlos Correa will always have the stink of cheating. George Springer, I don't know how much he was involved. He became a big star in that postseason. He wasn't really one of their big stars that year, like going into that year. He wasn't one of the team leaders, I should say. It was a very good player, obviously. I always liked George Springer before I found out about what the Astros did. He overcame a lot. He seems like a nice guy. So I don't know. I'm fine with people booing him, obviously. I am not at all on board with the idea of throwing at him, partly because I never like throwing at anybody. And that's because of the risk of injury and the fact that they get to go to first base if you hit him with a pitch. I would much rather have the Dodgers get the revenge on George Springer by striking him out every time he comes up. I hope that's what they do. Fans will boo him. That's fine. I hope we keep it at that we recognize that baseball is still a game we care passionately about, but don't make it personal. Don't go after his family, all those things. You want to boo George Springer? Great. And I have no issue with that. And that's kind of where I'm at. Springer isn't at the top of my list of Astros who I blame for 2017. I'll put it that way. But he is the one who's in this series, and so he is going to bear the brunt of that 2017 cheating, and that's okay. JP Ramirez says, I have a horrible take. Thank you, JP, for watching. Says, all those Astros bums knew and cheated. The entire team should be banned. I agree that they all knew that they were cheating, and I think everybody is in kind of different positions to be able to put a stop to it. I think banning the whole team, in addition to being impossible, because of the collective bargaining agreement and all of that. I don't think that it would have served the purpose that you would want it to. I think if Rob Manfred had just been a man and just stripped the Astros of the title, say nobody won the World Series in 2017, it would have gone a long way. But in the end, JF699 says no sympathy for Springer. And I'm not asking anybody to have sympathy for him. I'm telling you how I feel and why he's not at the top of my list of people who I blame. But like I said, he will be the face of it this series, and that is okay. Don't Care 187 says Kershaw will strike out Springer to clinch the World Series. Hey, I would love nothing more. Dodgers winning the World Series, Kershaw closing it out. And if Springer's up, great. I'd probably enjoy that a little bit more. But yeah, Dodgers winning the World Series is the part I care about. We got a super chat from my friend Seth Klein, first-time listener, long-time super chatter. He says lifetime ban for all involved in 2017, in my opinion. Yeah. I don't necessarily agree, but you know what? I also don't think that, they definitely weren't punished enough. And that's, I think everybody can agree on that if they are looking at things from an unbiased point of view. Now I'm digging into the chat. I've got a bunch favorited, and so I'm going to try to keep an eye on the incoming chats too while I'm reading these. Let's see. History Man says the Dodgers should be competitive for the next 10 to 12 years. And yeah, I mean, honestly, as long as they want to be competitive is how long they should be competitive for, because the fact is they are built to win. They have the financial advantages. They have the best front office in baseball. They have ownership that's committed to winning. There's no reason, even 12 years down the road, that window should close anytime soon. Pink Pearl 8130 says, hi, Jeff. You're doing a great job. Thank you. I appreciate it. You're doing a great job too. M1 Champ says, Jeff, I'm late to the party. What happened to the dude with the black beard? I assume that is a reference to my former podcast co-host, Vince Samperio, back on the show I used to do, the show that shall not be named. Used to be the smart fans perspective on our boys in blue. Now it's the football fans perspective on our boys in blue. Vince is still around. He's done a little bit of podcast stuff with the Bleedlos podcast this postseason. I don't know how. I know he's been on there a couple times. Vince and I still keep in touch. It's, yeah, but that's what he's up to, doing well. We're still friends. We got let go of that other show. I hopped on here and Vince chose to take a break for a while. So that's all I really know. All I can really say about that, I guess. Alex Renteria says, I don't think Ohtani would care if it's on regular rest. It's the World Series for crying out loud. That's in reference to when I was talking about why Ohtani should start game 4. I agree. Ohtani wouldn't care. It's not a question of would he care. We're talking in what roles will people be most effective. And for me, having Ohtani pitch in a role that he has never pitched in his big league career in the World Series doesn't seem like the best idea. When you've got 4 aces, you might as well line them up in a way that they are all pitching in the circumstances that they are most used to. That's all I was saying there. Rosa Mora says, Jeff, I know the Jays are a good team, but am I really overconfident if I think the Dodgers will make this a short series? Yeah, I agree. The Blue Jays are a good team. I think the Dodgers are a better team. I think the Dodgers are going to be favored in every individual game. That doesn't necessarily mean that they will win every game. It means that they'll be favored every game. And so I think Dodgers in 5 is a reasonable prediction. I have a hard time seeing the Blue Jays winning 4 games out of 7 when the Dodgers are favored in all 7 games. And so that's why I do think, even though they're not going to be like heavy favorites, the Blue Jays are a good team. Dodgers are the better team, better pitching, better offense. The gap between the pitching is bigger than the gap between the offense, but the Dodgers are the better team. And so that's, I don't think it's overconfident to expect the Dodgers to win this series relatively easily. Let's see. BC says Dodgers offense is facing the worst pitching staff of their 4 opponents so far, and it's not close. I absolutely agree with that. The Reds got into the postseason based on their pitching, and the Dodgers pounded that pitching. Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo. No, not Nick Lodolo. Nick Lodolo wasn't available. That was part of the issue there, that Nick Lodolo wasn't available, only pitched 1 inning in that series. But yeah, Hunter Green, very good pitcher, and the Dodgers pounded him. Then the Phillies, Christopher Sanchez, Jesus Luzardo, and Ranger Suarez, all very good pitchers. The Dodgers beat the Phillies in 4 games. The Brewers, starting pitching, Freddie Peralta is good. The rest of the starting pitching, less good. Bullpen, pretty darn good. And the Dodgers beat them. Yeah, I agree. The Blue Jays starting pitching is questionable. The bullpen is more questionable. So I agree with BC that the Blue Jays is the worst pitching the Dodgers will face. Hopefully that means we'll see the best offense we've seen from the Dodgers. But still, they got to play it. Matty Man talking about Blake Snell being sick. This is Snell sick. I'd hate to see him healthy. Yeah, that we're seeing right now is Snell healthy. It's not, he's not sick anymore. Those couple games after he was sick, he was less than Blake Snell, but even that, it's not like he was terrible. Alex Renteria says, Jeff, Blue Jays fans can get mad if they want, but non-Dodger channels pick the Dodgers like Foul Territory, John Boy, ESPN, and even the Blue Jay fan Jim Riley. Yeah, I don't think it's. I don't think only homerism can make you think the Dodgers have the advantage in this series. I think they're the better team. Noah says, tell the Blue Jay fans to start a channel called All Blue Jays. There may be one. I don't know. Yeah, it's Blue Jays fans are passionate. I don't know how many Blue Jays podcasts there are. I don't look for that. Manny Man Dodge says, I'm an arrogant American. It's hard to say arrogant American. I get the G sounds mixed up. I believe that you're arrogant and American, Manny Man. I don't know that they're related. I'm so sad it's gotten this, says the saying the Blue Jays have history on their side is so dumb. They're reaching so hard. That's in reference. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but people are talking about the last 4 times that one championship series was a sweep and the other one went all 7 games. The team that had to go all 7 games ended up winning the World Series. And I think it's the only 4 times because that goes back to 1988. And before, it was just a year or 2 before that they started, that the championship series went to 7 games. It used to be best of 5. And so, I think all 4 times that one went to 7 games, the other one went 4 games. The team that had to go deeper in the championship series ended up winning the World Series. But you know what? We're talking four times in 35 years, 37 years. And so it's literally meaningless. So I agree that it's so dumb. It's reaching so hard. It has zero predictive value on what will happen in this series. Ray Soda says all the haters are going to Lids to buy their 4th team hat. There's definitely, there are a lot of big Blue Jays fans in a lot of traditionally National League West cities right now. And that's fine, and even other cities, there are teams besides the NL West that consider the Dodgers their rivals. We know for sure that if you ask any Giants fan, Padres fan, Rockies fan, or Diamondbacks fan who their biggest rival is, they will say the Dodgers. And so, those fans are all big Blue Jays fans right now. And that's okay. Just like I said, I like the Blue Jays because they beat the Braves in 92. The reason I dislike the Braves is because they were in the NL West with the Dodgers, and mostly because their fans were obnoxious. But that's how you choose. When your team doesn't make it to the World Series, you choose who to root for by who you dislike. And, that at least that's usually it. And so, that's how I choose. And that's how other people do too. And that's just fine. Talking about the Astros, Alex Renteria says, never forget, never forgive. That's totally valid approach to fandom. Talking about Shohei Ohtani, and I mentioned the ridiculousness of people thinking that his contract is going to hinder the Dodgers in future years. Insert Silly Handles says the Dodgers already made back the cost of his contract. And Denny Cortez says the Dodgers have already made the money to pay Ohtani's contract. Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw that report the other day, but there was a report that the Dodgers made the entirety of the $700 million contract in year 1 of the deal. And the Dodgers ownership, the way they got rich enough to buy the Dodgers is by being really good at investing. And so you figure after last season, the Dodgers already had that full $700 million that they can then spend the next 9 years investing. And they are, I'm not exaggerating when I say the Dodgers will not even notice the $68 million a year coming out of their account going into Shohei Ohtani's account after he's done with this contract. They just won't notice it. It will be meaningless to them. That's how good they are with money, how smart it was to get Shohei Ohtani in Los Angeles. It's huge for him. It's huge for the team. Everything about that deal is just smart. And that's what has people upset. Talking about how we became Dodger fans. I'm so sad it's gotten this. Says I was born into Fernando Mania, 1981 champs. Yeah, I was born in 77, so I was a little bit too young to appreciate Fernando Mania. My first memories of baseball are Jack Clark and Ozzie Smith homering off Tom Niedenfuhr in 1985. Not the best memories, but then 1988, I was 11 years old and, celebrating with my brother and my family. Still remember my mom when Kirk Gibson hit his home run. My mom goes, "He did it! He did it! He did it!" And we, so after Freddie Freeman's grand slam last year, I called my mom on the phone and just said, "He did it! He did it! He did it!" Yeah, great memories growing up Dodger fan. And guess what? There was a lot of dark days after that. Between 1988 and 2017, Dodgers made the World Series 0 times. They made the playoffs a handful of times. It was a rough time, and yet we kept loving our Dodgers, and we are being rewarded for that now. BC says the Dodgers aren't ruining baseball. They're saving baseball. The highest rated World Series and NBA Finals featured dynasties. Yeah, this is going to be a highly rated World Series with between United States, Canada, and Japan all having a lot of interest in this series. There's going to be a lot of eyeballs on this World Series, and it's going to be fun. Alex Renteria says, so George Springer found the fountain of youth at age 36. Sus, which my teenagers tell me is short for suspicious. I don't think there's anything nefarious going on. George Springer increased his bat speed this year, and there's been articles about how he did it. He doesn't look noticeably different. I don't think it's just that he added 30 pounds of muscle, because that will help you swing the bat faster. But yeah, I think mechanically he made some changes, increased his bat speed. Nothing to see there. But hopefully the Dodgers can neutralize that in the World Series. Nick L says South America and Central America are behind the Dodgers. Yeah, it's true. North America may be rooting against the Dodgers. Dodgers have a lot of fans in, Central South America, that I guess the southern part of North America. A lot of Latino fans of the Dodgers for a lot of different reasons. Cole says the Dodgers have typically always had one of the largest payrolls in Major League Baseball. If payrolls were an issue with regards to success, why did it take over 30 years for the Dodgers to win in 2020? Cole, that's logical, and I don't think there's any place for logic here on the internet. But yeah, we've seen teams spend a ton of money and not win the World Series. We've seen teams spend a ton of money and not even make the playoffs just in the last few years. Winning or spending money does not equate to winning. The fact is, what the Dodgers have done is they have spent a lot of money. Absolutely. They have spent it wisely. They have managed the egos and just as importantly, gone after guys without the egos, because the fact is there are some guys who could not thrive in this Dodgers clubhouse where they are used to being the superstar, and now they are one of many. Mookie Betts referring to Shohei Ohtani as the Michael Jordan of the team. Mookie Betts is a former MVP, runner-up MVP, World Series, 3-time World Series champion, World Series hero, superstar, 6-time Gold Glove winner. Mookie Betts is a superstar, future Hall of Famer, every sense of the word. He is great. And he's just talking about how one of his teammates is the Michael Jordan of the team. No ego there. And they all recognize that winning is the most fun, and that they're all going to get their accolades. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So the Dodgers are doing everything well. And yes, they have the advantage of having more money, but also they have the advantage of being willing to spend the money they have, which 20 teams in Major League Baseball don't have. Denny Cortez says, we need some more likes. Let's support Jeff. 2 thumbs up. Absolutely, Denny. Thank you. Let's see. I read those ones already. Craig says his sister lives in Ogden, Utah. That's about an hour north of me. That's where the Dodgers used to have their rookie ball team, the Ogden Raptors. The Raptors are now an independent league team ever since Major League Baseball downsized the minor leagues. But I know there is one big Dodger fan, Lindsey Adams, up in Ogden. Probably others too. JY Kim asks, is the Utah climate similar to Arizona's? I've assumed it's usually arid. In some ways it's similar, not nearly as hot. And parts of Utah are very deserty, a lot like Arizona. Parts of Utah are very mountainous. I live literally less than a mile from the mountains. You look out my front door, there's huge mountains right above me. But it's usually pretty dry here, although this month, October is already like the 5th wettest month in Utah history. Gotten a lot of rain this month. It's been a lot of fun. I'm hoping that means a lot of snow this winter, because this California boy still gets giddy every time it snows. I still feel like I'm a kid. Like the 2 times it snowed in my childhood, like, ooh, this is fun. That's how I get every time it snows. So I'm hoping for a lot of snow. Indigenous says, hey, Jeff and Clint, I will be nervous. Please, Dodgers win the series. Yeah, I think nerves are good. That's one of the fun things about being a baseball fan, is that you get to be nervous. The postseason is fun, a fun time to be nervous about your team. And I think of it as low stakes nerves. The fact is, if the Dodgers lose, yeah, we'll be bummed, but it's not the end of the world. And little things. I remember in 2019, after the Dodgers lost, after they lost the NLDS, that Game 5, that disastrous Game 5, and I was heartbroken, but in a sports context. And I did a podcast here, sitting at this very desk I'm sitting at, and I was near tears, but I was talking about how I was talking about 2 years earlier when the Dodgers lost the 2017 World Series. And I was at games 6 and 7 of that World Series in 2017. And game 7 was a terrible game. Dodgers lost 5-1. It was ugly. It was non-competitive. It was sad. But the night before game 7, my cat ran away on Halloween. Like, the cat got spooked by trick-or-treaters, got out, ran away. And so my wife was heartbroken at home because our cat ran away. And so I had to put it in perspective. Okay, yeah, my team lost a baseball game, but this actual living thing that my wife loves is missing right now. And the morning after the World Series ended, I woke up to a text from my wife saying that the cat came home in the middle of the night. And it was like, it put things in perspective for me. And that's just a cat. There's a lot more serious things even than a cat going missing, and that are more important than baseball. Right now, the day of Game 4 of this year's World Series, that morning I'm going to my cousin's funeral. My best friend for my entire life, I will be at his funeral. Much more important. I'm hoping the Dodgers win this for him. He was a big Dodger fan. He and his wife love the Dodgers, and so I'm hoping he's pulling some strings up in heaven. I don't really think that God cares who wins a baseball game. But there's a lot more important things than baseball. And that's why I like sports, because it gives you something low stakes to have this stress about, knowing that even if it doesn't go your way and you're super sad, you're going to get over it because it's just a game. So anyway, that's all. Say, yeah, absolutely. Be nervous. That's super fun. Elisheva says, Jeff, will you buy any new Dodgers merch for the postseason? Only if they win the World Series. I'm not like, I saw, speaking of Vince, my old podcast partner, Vince Samperio, I saw on Twitter today, he got the 2025 World Series hat in the mail today. I'm not going to get one of those unless they win. What am I wearing right now? I think this is this 2024 World Series champions hat. Like, that's what I'm interested in, is the World Series champs hat. And I may get just the standard World Series hat too, but if they win, I don't need to be reminded of a World Series that they lost, if that makes sense. So no merch for me. And in fact, I probably won't buy any. If the Dodgers win the World Series, when the Dodgers win the World Series next week, I will go on the Christmas website that I created for my family 20 years ago. And I will start listing, Dodgers t-shirts and hats and stuff on my wish list. And that's what my family will shop for me this December. So yeah, I'm hoping for a win for sure. Alex Renteria says, I expect a big series from Freeman, Muncy, and Ohtani. Those lefties have to feast on those righties. Yeah, the definitely one advantage in this series that the Dodgers will have over previous series is the Blue Jays don't really have any killer lefties. They do have 3 left-handed relievers. They have Eric Lauer, they have Mason Fluharty, and they have another dude whose name I don't remember right now. That's probably the guy who will pitch well, since I just forgot his name. But they don't have a guy with Jared Koenig's stuff. They definitely don't have a Christopher Sanchez. So I'm hoping, and all their starters are right-handed. So yeah, hopefully Shohei Ohtani can step up and get the job done. Max Muncy, Freddie Freeman. Freeman hit lefties well most of this year, but he has been a little quiet this postseason. I think that means he's ready to break out, so that's what I'm hoping for. Ken Walcott says Muncy will be the catalyst in this series. The other night after Clint and I were done here, we both hopped on Tim Rogers' show over on Dodgers 2080. And I picked Muncy as my pick for World Series MVP, so I like that. Alex Renteria reminds us that Springer showed zero remorse. And yeah, I don't know. I haven't kept track to who showed what level of remorse. So anyway, super chat from Fuzzy Balls, $5 super chat. Dodgers in 6. It's not USA versus Canada because the Padres and Giants fans will not be pulling for the Dodgers. Yeah, and it's not just Padres and Giants, man. There's probably at least 20 other teams that are hating the Dodgers right now. That, Yankee fans, probably rooting for the Dodgers, honestly, since the Blue Jays are in the Yankees division and Yankee fans understand spending money to try to win a World Series. Mets fans, basically the fans of teams whose owners are trying, who are spending money, probably don't hate the Dodgers as much as the fans of cheapskate teams do. Elisheva says, Jeff, I watched your previous show every day. I appreciate that. Appreciate you watching this one too. B. Sarte, BS Arty, I don't know. Says, Jeff, how do we feel about our righty bullpen arms against that Jays right-handed top-heavy lineup? Yeah, you know what? The bullpen is going to be the question mark in this series. And I don't know what that means. I don't know what the answer is. We'll just have to see how they do. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is a great hitter. George Springer is a great hitter. Bo Bichette is probably going to be back, which maybe helps the Dodgers defensively because Bichette is not a good defender at shortstop. And I'm hoping that with this layoff that he will be a little bit rusty offensively too. I'm kind of hoping he's back, and I hope that doesn't come back to bite me. But yeah, I think this Dodgers bullpen has stepped up. I think they're better than they were at times this year, and I expect them to do pretty well. But I do think it's on the offense and the starting pitching to make the bullpen matter as little as possible. Ray Soto, Super Chat, $1.99 says Super Stat Check. I have already forgotten what that was in reference to, so I apologize, Ray, but thank you for the Super Chat. Ray Barrios says Freddie will probably feel a little weird when he hears his song played when Alejandro Kirk comes up to bat in Toronto. I didn't realize that Freddie and Alejandro Kirk used the same walk-up song, but it's a fun song, so that'll be good. Freddie can just pretend it's for him. Freddie obviously has the Canadian connection. He said it's going to be special for him playing in a World Series in Ontario, where his parents are from. But you know what? Freddie has played, in Atlanta, where he had soft feelings for. He's played against the Angels. Freddie's ready, and he's going to have a lot of fun. But yeah, the walk-up music might be a little bit weird for him. O'Donnell Boy says Yankee fans must be completely tuned out of this one. No one to root for at all, even to hate watch. And maybe that is their approach. I don't know. Nando says, Jeff, can Kershaw please come in to plunk Springer? My vote is no. I don't believe in hitting people on purpose. As I've said, I think if you were going to hit Springer on purpose, you wouldn't do it with your slowest thrower. So a lot of reasons it doesn't make sense to bring Kershaw in to plunk Springer, including the fact that Kershaw would not do that role because he knows it's dumb baseball. Let's see. Noah says, I want to hear trash can sounds instead of a walk-up song when Springer is on his way to the plate for his last plate appearance of the World Series, but it won't happen because that would be classless. At least Noah admits that the thing he wants is classless. I don't expect the Dodgers to get involved in the Springer hate. We've seen Dieter Rule troll Madison Bumgarner with the go get out of the ocean stuff. We've seen him troll the Astros with I saw the signs and, different stuff. I don't think we're going to see any of that from the Dodgers with regards to George Springer. It just doesn't seem likely. This is a team that wants to win a World Series. They're not going to focus on one guy who is on the team they're playing. Cole says fans of teams wanting a salary cap don't understand how much money their teams will lose. Think of all the luxury tax the Dodgers will save from having a hard cap. And the Pirates take in a lot of money from the Dodgers, and they don't spend nearly all of it. Dodger Blue 82 says Dodgers 2080, show some love to Tim Rogers. Absolutely. Check out Tim. Subscribe to his channel over on YouTube. I'm going to hop in there when I can once in a while, like we did the other night. It was a lot of fun. Just scrolling through the comments. BC said Joe Kelly did and still got out of the inning. That was back when he was great. Kelly wasn't throwing at whichever one. He threw a curveball over Bregman's head. It's hard to throw something and not have it go over Bregman's head because he's 3'4". Joe Kelly definitely leaned into playing that role, and that was fine. He got suspended for too long for it. But the fact is, he also, so he hit one guy on accident, and he didn't hit the guy he was throwing at, and still got suspended for it. I don't like throwing at guys. I think it risks injury, and like I said, baseball's not important enough to actually risk hurting another person, especially if you get up around the head area where you're talking about potentially seriously hurting somebody. Not interested in that at all. Ray Barrier says, hoping to see more of Sheehan in this series. He hasn't been good so far, but they need him. Yeah, if they need him, then I hope he can step up and be what they need him to be. Again, I'm hoping that the starting pitch in the offense make the bullpen almost an afterthought. Erskafone says Freddie grew up in Villa Park, where you can virtually see Angel Stadium for the top of the hill. Is that where he grew up? I thought it was down south more. My favorite thing about Villa Park is it's crap alive spelled backwards. I mean, not actually, but it could be if you didn't know how to spell. I had a good friend in college from Villa Park. Let's see. Elisheva says, Jeff, will you go to the LA home World Series games? Sorry, I had to cough there for a second. I don't know. I will be in town. Like I said, I'll be down there for my cousin's funeral, which is on Tuesday. I might go to game 3 on Monday night. It's a lot of money. My wife and I might go to that game. Haven't decided yet, but it's expensive to get in, and since I don't have my season tickets anymore, it's a lot harder decision to make. Miss Blue Mod says, why isn't Rojas playing? He was hot in the end there. I'm a big fan of what the Dodgers have been doing. The fact that they're just taking a lineup and sticking to it because it's working. Kike's going to be in there every day. Edman's going to be in there every day. And if both of those guys are playing, there's not really that much room for Rojas. The Dodgers did sit Muncy against a couple of the tough lefties against the Phillies, but we won't see that. And so, I don't see Rojas getting a start in this series, and I'm okay with that. I think he provides value off the bench if they need him. And again, it's that role player thing that even Mookie Betts is playing a role. Miguel Rojas is definitely playing a role. He's a role player to start with on any team, definitely on this team. And that's just fine with me. And I think it's just fine with him. He wants to win another World Series, and that's what his focus is. Leanne says, do you think Tanner Scott will be on the roster? Sorry, I'm going to cough again. Hold on. Sorry, my throat's been drying out. I don't know. I don't think Tanner Scott will be on the roster. I'm not confident enough to say I'm sure about it, like I'm sure about some other people. But I don't think Tanner Scott's going to be on the roster. Between the Blue Jays roster makeup and Tanner Scott being what Tanner Scott has been, I don't see it. I know Clint said the other day he expects Tanner Scott to be on the roster because of how much money he's making. I genuinely don't think the Dodgers will take that into consideration even a tiny bit. They'll be paying him a lot of money in the next 3 years. He can be on the World Series roster one of those years if he earns a spot. I think the Dodgers are going either entirely or almost entirely merit-based. And why I say maybe almost entirely, I think Clayton Kershaw will be on the roster. And I think it's more merit-based than people would think. Because Clayton Kershaw was terrible in the one game that he's pitched in this postseason. But I do think that was not characteristic for him because his issue was that he couldn't throw the ball where he wanted to. That's usually something he's very good at. And so I don't know if Kershaw will get in a game. I expect him to be on the roster. The other 25 spots I expect to be 100% who gives us the best chance of winning this World Series. And I just don't see Tanner Scott being one of those 25 guys. It just doesn't, I don't see it. Alex Renteria says if Bregman is 3'4", then Altuve is 2'5". Obviously 3'4" is an exaggeration. Jose Altuve owns the fact that he's short. Alex Bregman pretends he's not. That's why I don't make fun of Altuve. I Bleav in not making fun of people for things that they can't control, like being born short. But I will make fun of people for things they can control, like lying about your height. So that's where I draw the line between Bregman and Altuve. Let's see. Gary says Dodgers Nation has the roster. They definitely do not. The roster is not out yet. It will not be out until Friday morning. The Dodgers technically could release it now, but there would be zero upside to doing that. No reason to do it, and so they won't. The roster won't be out until Friday morning. Let's see. Somebody called me fat in the chat. That's super clever. That person, his entire family is lucky to have him. I hope they know that. Having such a clever person around all the time, that's really cool. Elisheva asked if I might go to spring training. Tickets are on sale. I might go to spring training. If I do, I don't know if I'll go to any games. For me, the games are the least fun part of spring training. I love going to the backfields and everything. So tickets going on sale doesn't mean that much to me. If I go, it'll be, we'll go down there just to hang out and enjoy the experience. I'm so sad it's gotten this. Says terrible bullpen decisions by the Mariners gave the Jays game 7. The fact that it took 7 games against the Mariners says a lot. Yeah. I definitely think that Andres Munoz should have come in that game instead of Edward Bizardo. But second guessing managers is the easiest thing in the world to do, and also the most fruitless thing because we can't see what would have happened in the alternate reality. Cole says, "Do you trust Blake Trinan against the Blue Jays?" Yeah, I mean, I feel like Trinan has been pretty good. Like I said, even the game, I know I just said this about Kershaw, but the game against the Phillies that Trinan was bad, again, it wasn't the way he was bad during the season. Because during the season, he had that issue where he didn't know where the ball was going. Against the Phillies, it was just, they got a little bit lucky on one hit, they got more lucky on another hit, and then one solid hit, and, no margin for error. So, but yeah, Trinan seems to be closer to last year's postseason Trinan than he was during the regular season. And so I trust him more than I would have a month ago, if that makes sense. Let's see. Ray Barrio says, I'm hoping for a decent Tanner Scott next season so I can stop making fun of him. Yeah, I expect Tanner Scott to be very good next year. I think he's a very good pitcher who things snowballed on him this year. He went through different phases, but yeah, I expect Tanner Scott to be good next year, and I hope so for sure because they are paying him a lot of money. Let's see. Astro Manny says if the Jays start Scherzer, it's an automatic win for the Dodgers. He's been terrible. He was pretty good in that one game against the Mariners, but even that game, he didn't even make it through 6 innings. And so, that gets the Dodgers to that weak Blue Jays bullpen. That'll be good. Elisheva says, Jeff, are you concerned about Ben Kasperius? Not overly, but I also don't really have any reason to be concerned or not concerned. I don't know how he's doing lately. I think if he was at full strength or whatever, then he wouldn't have spent the last part of the season in the minor leagues and wouldn't have been off the rosters earlier. I do expect we'll probably see him at some point in the World Series, but I don't know what to expect, honestly. So I don't know anything to make me nervous about him. Let's see. And okay, sorry, we got a super chat, $9.99 from MH Dodger for Life. Says, let's go, boys in blue. Payback for the Dodgers. Scherzer cheating and dead arm from us. And Springer, Astros cheating. Yeah, like I said the other day, George Springer and Max Scherzer are the two people on the Blue Jays who it's understandable for Dodger fans to have an issue with. Springer because of the cheating, Scherzer because of not taking the ball when they needed him in 2021. It ended up leading to probably injury for Walker Buehler. Dodgers losing that series, a lot of stuff, I think there's a reason that Max Scherzer is not on this team anymore. When I was talking about, the Dodgers getting the players who will fit their system. And yeah, trading for him in 2021, you get that kind of guy for a partial season, whether it's him or Manny Machado or, some of those guys. But buying in long term, yeah, I don't think those are the right kind of guys. And I hope we get to see Max Scherzer, and I hope the Dodgers make it hurt and win the game, win all the games, Yeah, that's all right. So I think I've covered all the super chats. If you did have a chat in there that I missed, I'm sorry, trying to get through everything and talk at the same time. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but if you've got any more or something I missed, pop it in now. I'm going to wrap this up in the next couple of minutes and call it a night. It's 10:36 where I am, which isn't close to bedtime, but it's closer to bedtime than 9:36 where a lot of you are. I know some of you are even later than me, so that's all right. Huckster says, man, you guys blame a lot of your losses on two guys. Dodger fans are jokes. Yeah, I don't think we blamed any losses on anybody. I described things accurately, but thank you for watching, Huckster. I assure you that your views count the same to the algorithm as everybody else's, so thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Drop a super chat. I promise to read your comment if you send a super chat, as long as it's at least $10. Dodger fans, it doesn't have to be at least $10, but people who call Dodger fans jokes, it's got to be at least $10. Ray Barrio says, yes, Tanner Scott needs to bounce back. Roki will be a starter eventually. Yeah, I think Roki, they'll give him every chance to be a starter next year. But this is also a lot of fun, him pitching in this role. Elisheva, Jeff, do you like the new Angels manager, Kurt Suzuki? Yeah, I don't know anything about Kurt Suzuki other than that he can stand in a swimming pool and jump out of the pool onto the edge of the pool, which seems like it should be impossible. But yeah, go to YouTube and search up Kurt Suzuki swimming pool. Watch that video. It's ridiculous. So the dude's a freak of nature. No idea if he'll be a good manager. The fact that Artie Moreno signed off on the hire suggests to me it's not a good move, but Artie Moreno also signed off on signing Shohei Ohtani, and that was a good move. So you know what? Everybody has their hits and misses. So I don't know enough about Kurt Suzuki's managerial qualifications to have a strong opinion on that. Let's see. I think I'm going to wrap it up then. This was fun, guys. We went for over an hour. I didn't know if we would go this long, especially after I found out I was going to be on my own. Sorry, my chair is squeaking if you've been hearing that. But you know what? You imagine me sitting on you for an hour and 8 minutes. You'd be squeaking too. Get it? Because I'm fat. There, I beat all you commenters to it. Yeah, I'm fat. And I'm funnier than you about it too. Alex says, Jeff, do you see the Dodgers trying to trade for Skubal? If Tarek Skubal goes on the market, the Dodgers will absolutely be involved in the bidding. The Dodgers starting pitching is not going to be their biggest need next year. But just like when they signed Freddie Freeman, they had Max Muncy, who had been literally a gold glove quality first baseman. But Freddie Freeman was available. You make room for Freddie Freeman. Same with Tarek Skubal. You absolutely make room for Tarek Skubal. I don't care if you have to go to a 7-man rotation, whatever it is. If Tarek Skubal's available, you get involved in the bidding. The fact that it's not as big a need for them means maybe they're not going to, sell the farm for him like other teams. They might get outbid, but I think they would definitely be involved in the bidding for sure. And Huckster says, who are you going to blame the Dodgers game 1 loss on? That depends, Huckster, because the game hasn't been played yet. So I'm going to wait and see what happens in the game before I decide what I think about the game. That's the approach I take. You might want to think about it once in a while. So if somebody's to blame for the loss, that's who I will blame. It might just be a baseball game where one team outplays the other team and there's nobody really to blame. You might just give credit. So yeah, I guess if George Springer hits 4 home runs and the Blue Jays beat the Dodgers, I guess I'll blame George Springer for hitting a bunch of home runs. But I'm not sure if that's what you meant. I'm not totally convinced that you understand words like blame based on the 2 comments I've seen from you. But that's the best answer I can give you at this point. So thank you for being here. Cole says we could use another lefty like Tarek Skubal. I honestly don't care about lefty righty when it comes to starting pitchers. Most starting pitchers have pretty neutral splits, and that's why they've survived as starting pitchers. And so relief pitchers, you got to look at righty lefty, because relief pitchers, a lot of them have more pronounced splits, but I don't need lefties. I need guys who can get lefties and righties out, and the Dodgers have a lot of them already. Scrolling through just to make sure I'm not missing anything important. And I am not missing anything important. I'm not even missing. Oh, I did miss one last Huckster comment with 3 laughing emojis. So, yeah, nothing important. Cole says the Padres will trade all their players, children, and their coaching staffs for Tarek Skubal. They might, especially if the Dodgers are in. That's going to do it. All right. I do want to mention our friends over at FanDuel. Let's see. World Series odds right at this moment. The Dodgers are at minus 225 to win the World Series. That's pretty strong favorites. Let's see the actual game 1. Dodgers are at minus 154 to win game 1. FanDuel has Blake Snell listed as a starter. Still has TBD for the Blue Jays. I'm interested to see who that's going to be. We'll probably find that out tomorrow. We will be together here tomorrow. At least Clint and me, maybe all 3 amigos. Kevin might join us from his kitchen too, and talking our official World Series preview, because hopefully we will know by then who's going to be starting for the Blue Jays, have a little bit better idea, and we will dig into more of this stuff. But this has been a lot of fun, guys. Thank you for being here. Very lively chat. Thank you for the super chats. Thanks to the mods. Thanks to everybody who's been hanging out, almost everybody who's been hanging out. I appreciate almost all of you. And thanks to the Bleav Network for having us on the network. Thank you to FanDuel and Delete Me for sponsoring our show. And I guess all that's left to say is bye.